Hello everyone, I'm back again for the third video of the night. It's a long night for me, but yeah, anybody who's been a fan of my channel for a while knows that I was eventually going to come around to opine on this. So they're doing this storyline now where Jen Walters ends up in the Red Room, right, that created Black Widow, and now it's Winter Hulk, right? And we have this lovely image. Now, anybody who's been a long time follower of my channel or supporter knows that I am not a fan of this take on She-Hulk, and I'm not a fan of Jason Aaron's writing. If you go to the description, you'll see several videos that I did back, I think, in like 2019 or 2020, touching upon this particular topic of She-Hulk and just the way that women, in particular powerful women, women noted for their physical strength, like She-Hulk, like Carol Danvers and others, are depicted um, in Marvel these days, and they depict them like men, right? And not even like interesting, good guys. They treat them like a very stereotypical, overly aggressive, bro type of guy, which women are not typically. Even a masculine woman is still not a man, right? Same way an effeminate man is still not a woman. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Jason Aaron's writing. He dumped on classic She-Hulk back when he wrote Avengers 20. I hate that issue. I did a review of that issue. Actually, one of my highest rated videos, but in a broader sense, because Jason Aaron isn't like the first to do this. They've been depicting Jen Walters like this in a very un-Jen Walters way, stripping her of her femininity, stripping her of her fun and vibrant personality for a while now. I mean, even back in like 2017, back when they had, get this, the Hulk was dead at this time because of the Civil War II storyline, but they had a Hulk solo series going on. And guess who was the Hulk? It was She-Hulk. It wasn't Bro Hulk. It wasn't Doc Samson or other characters. No, it was She-Hulk. But instead of calling it She-Hulk, they just called it Hulk. Because, the branding wasn't going to be confusing at all when you've had the characters having separate names for like 40 some years, ever since She-Hulk was created in 1980 by Stan Lee. Right? But they've had this version of her where she's deeply depressed and where she's more or less Hulk. Like, here's the thing. I tend to disagree very strongly with Young Ripper 59, Eric July, when he talks about She-Hulk, especially classic She-Hulk, because I don't see her as a token. I disagree with his assertion that she's a tokenized character because she's a female Hulk. To me, it's like saying that you are the tokenized version of your opposite sex parent just because they created you, right? Or they helped create you, right? In my opinion, Jen is not tokenized, or at least she wasn't tokenized, because although she was a female Hulk, and yes, Bruce Banner in a sense does create her because of the blood transfusion that he gives her to save her life. For those who may not know, Jen's origin story for how she got her powers is that there was a hit out on her by the mob because she's a lawyer and she was trying to put a mob boss away. The mob puts a hit out. They shoot her up. Cousin Bruce happens to be visiting, and he realizes that if he tries to take her to a hospital without any treatment, she's going to die for certain. So he comes up with an emergency way of giving her a blood transfusion, and that's how she gets her She-Hulk powers, right? So yes, he did create her. I'm not denying that. But outside of that, Jen was completely different from Bruce Banner. She wasn't a fellow scientist. She didn't, even in the first run that Stan Lee had some influence on, right? Jen was much more in control of her She-Hulk form, and while that series was a bit darker, right, than the sort of the action comedy it would become known for later under John Byrne, still, they were distinct personalities, right? Jen's an attorney. Jen was a bit more moody and introspective when she became She-Hulk and all this other stuff. So to me, their personalities, both when they were just themselves, like Bruce Banner and Jen Walters, and then when they were Hulk and She-Hulk, were just too disparate, right? They're just too different, in my opinion, to really label her as a tokenized character, right? But as much as I may disagree with him when it comes to using that term for classic She-Hulk, I have to agree with him when it comes to using that term for this current version of She-Hulk, because she really is a tokenized version of the Hulk in size, in look, in personality. And Jen was never that way, especially after John Byrne started writing her in the mid 1980 in the mid 80s, and then especially in the late in the late 80s with her solo series that ran to I think like the mid 90s. But he actually didn't work on that series as much as it may seem, but still he did set the precedent, right? The whole breaking the fourth wall, action comedy, sort of like lighthearted, in this like constantly dealing with like B-list, C-list characters and all that. That was him, and that was what many writers, even Dan Slott, and I'm not a big fan of him, right, continued on with, right? And again, it was all that made Jen distinctly different from Bruce. Her experience as She-Hulk was an empowerment fantasy, right? Bruce's experience with the Hulk, was this Jekyll and Hyde thing, right? It was the expression of all of his anger, right? Whereas with Jen, the She-Hulk form was everything she wanted to be, to the point where there was some story in the Fantastic Four where more or less she got stuck in the She-Hulk form permanently, and the girl was happy. She was like, "Yes, this is awesome," right? So that was her character for the longest, and then in around like 2016 or 2017, in the fallout of the Civil War II storyline, they decided to more or less make her the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner Hulk, with long hair and boobs, and say that this was empowerment. No, it's not. Jen used to be beautiful in appearance and in spirit, and now she is not. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying it's wrong to do a depression storyline with a character. You can do that. Even the strongest people can be laid low emotionally. That was one of the iconic elements of Carol Danvers' story, right? Her that whole struggle with alcoholism in the '90s. So I'm not saying that you can't tell that story or you can't tell it with a woman, but you need to honor the character. And thinking that Jason Aaron and Monica Tamaki and other writers, first of all, Jason Aaron doesn't know how to keep his personal gripes and pettiness with the fans out of the books. Just read Avengers 20 and you'll see. He has absolutely no idea how to keep himself out of it. He uses characters like She-Hulk, at least from what I've seen of his writing. He uses characters like She-Hulk and he uses characters like Carol Danvers to more or less lash out at the fans, right? I've taken or Marvel's taken really, your favorite females from you, right? Yes, they took away beautiful, powerful, strong women and turned them into caricatures of overly aggressive men. So yeah, why the hell would I be happy about this? To me, this is not empowerment. And again, you can make her a female bodybuilder. I've been watching bodybuilding and pro wrestling all of my life. Seeing a woman with muscles is no big deal to me. But this isn't even that. This is really just her as close to a poor man's version of the Hulk, of Bruce Banner Hulk, as you can get. So again, it's like Marvel wonders why, their sales are tanking. Well, this I'm a big She-Hulk fan. She was one of my favorites. She's still one of my favorites when we talk about the classic stuff. I have money to spend, not much, but a little bit. Comic book is certainly cheaper than a video game, but guess what? I can't buy this. I won't buy this. Because why the hell would I buy this? This image isn't appealing to me. The history behind it all, in particular having Jason Aaron on the book with his writing, doesn't appeal to me. The storyline, right, doesn't of her being kidnapped by the Red Room or turned into the Winter Hulk or whatever it is, doesn't appeal to me. So really, Marvel, why should I spend money on this? Why should I spend money on something that is completely unappealing to me? And again, I'm female. I know it may not always seem like it, but I am indeed a woman. So you can't argue male gaze here. This isn't about uh, male gaze or male sexuality or sex appeal and appealing to it or not appealing to it. Though I do think that a healthy dose of sex appeal didn't hurt anybody. But this isn't about that. This is about, again, depicting strong women as strong women, not as gross caricatures of men. Can we please stop? Because this is just irritating. It's just irritating to see characters you once admired and see them turn into something that is just plain grotesque. Right? I don't think Marvel's gonna listen, not until like they have to actually close their doors. But I will still continue to make videos about this, and I will still continue to keep my money in my pocket so long as Marvel, DC, or any other company refuses to make things that are, quite frankly, worth purchasing. I will start buying comics again when you actually make something I want to read and want to spend money on. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day and night wherever you are. Bye.